How's it going, everybody? We have been having a chat about what we're excited to see at E3, and we've managed to organise everything into neat little categories.
So if you see us running around E3 shouting things like space and building, it's probably not because we've had one too many caffeinated drinks to offset the jet lag. Probably.
So here's our rundown of what to expect at E3.
Space, the final frontier. Or the new one if you're into your games. Now, of course, space has been around in video games since it was invaded by bleepy, bloopy, side-scrolling aliens, but modern graphical capabilities mean that we can make space look even spacier than ever before, with millions of procedurally generated stars and planets. And you know what? Games set on Earth are so last year. Let's have a look at the latest games to fire us into the stratosphere.
Master Chief is back, and earlier this year we got the awesome opportunity to play the Halo 5 beta, but this E3 we're going to get to see even more and hopefully more epic explosions and finally find out what's going on in the Spartan vs. Locke trailers.
If you're a gamer of a certain age, then Elite will probably hold a very special place in your heart. You'll remember hours spent waiting for your Specky or your C64 to load it up, then long hours spent flying, trading and dogfighting around space. But if, like me, you are far too young for all of that, know that Elite Dangerous is coming to Xbox One, and it is the space game to end all space games. You've got a whole galaxy to explore, loads of ships to purchase and upgrade, galactic politics to get in amongst, and freedom to carve out your legacy amongst the stars the way you want.
No, but seriously, Star Wars Battlefront. E3 is going to be our first opportunity to see the game in action, and since we haven't had a Battlefront game since the original Xbox, I'm super excited, especially with a new Star Wars film coming out this year as well, but I'm sure we'll be finding out tons more at the EA conference on Monday. We can't really climb buildings in real life because A, we'd get arrested, and B, we have the relative strength of a small, weak child. But luckily for us, games offer us escapism in the form of actual escaping over rooftops and wires with various cool gadgets to get us up there. Here's this year's pick of games that make us feel bad about not going to the gym.
You think parkour, you think the series that started it all, Assassin's Creed, jumping over rooftops, clambering up walls, and then diving off church steeples into soft, totally safe piles of hay, all in the pursuit of stealthy stabs. Lovely stuff. Can't wait to climb over the lumpy bits of London in Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Assassin's Creed was the game that jump-started the whole parkour in video games thing, but for me it was Mirror's Edge that really captured the fluidity and the sheer vertigo of high-altitude free-running. Set in a stark city full of glowing red free-running lines, Mirror's Edge put you inside the head and body of Faith as she battled against a dodgy government regime. The new Mirror's Edge game is a prequel that will dig into Faith's background and offer a new open-world city to slide, roll, jump and wall run across, and developer DICE is promising an improved combat system and new moves to the already ultra-slick parkour system.
Black Ops 3, one of the games I'm most looking forward to, and E3 will give us a first look at the game's multiplayer before we get to play the beta later this year. I can't wait to see what Treyarch have done, as hearing from people who have already played it, it's going to be an awesome year for COD, especially with David Vonderhaar leading up the multiplayer development.
In a way, all games are kind of expensive toys for grown-ups, aren't they? But these ones go one step further. Whether it's cars, gadgets, or actual toys, these are this year's games that make us glad that we're grown-ups and we're allowed to spend all our money on Lego and sweets.
No grown-up toy collection is complete without at least one iteration of the Batmobile, the best grown-up toy that has ever existed. James Bond's car hangs its head in embarrassment at the sight of Arkham Knight's gorgeous automobile, which no doubt fires out missiles, can turn into a bike or a plane, and has at least 3 cup holders. And of course the Bat Belt, full of bat gadgets like the Batarang and the grapple hook, all of which you can use to non-lethally take down criminals. Wink.
So I've got a 4-year-old son called Finn, and Disney Infinity 2.0 could actually be my most played game of the last year, but that's okay because it's really good. Star Wars was the natural next step for Infinity, and Finn and I almost exploded when the official announcement came. We'll get figures and playsets for the original trilogy, the other trilogy, and even The Force Awakens later this year, and there will also be new Marvel figures including Hulkbuster and a range of new Disney characters too. Of course, Disney Infinity allows you to mash them all up together and play however you want in Toy Box mode, so if you've ever fantasized about Mickey Mouse flying through Arendelle in an X-Wing, then you are in luck. And a bit strange, but good on you. After the boy racer joys of spanking supercars around France and Italy in Horizon 2 last year, Forza is heading back to the track again this year. Now, details on Forza Motorsport 6 are rarer than a Veyron down the drive-thru at the moment, but we do know that the monstrous new Ford GT will be the cover car and feature in the game, and at E3 we should expect to hear about more cars, more tracks, and more new features than ever. Now, Turn 10 have always pushed the limits of what the Xbox can do, so I cannot wait to see how they've tuned the Xbox One engine up for Forza Motorsport 6.
Deus Ex gameplay has also been confirmed for E3 by Square Enix, which is going to be awesome, especially going from the trailer that we broke down right here on Xbox On earlier this year, which if you haven't checked out, definitely go and watch it after the video. There's nothing better than a good old-fashioned romp through a landscape obliterated by various kinds of war and disease. Unsurprisingly, in our current economic climate, games are all about depressing empty cities and a bleak forecast for humanity. Let's have a look at which games will be making us loot the bodies of the less fortunate.
If you've seen the excellent film, you'll be as hyped for this game as I am. Mad Max takes place in a sort of post-apocalyptic Australia, where hopefully all the giant spiders were exploded into a million tiny spider pieces. Build yourself a car known as a magnum opus and drive out into the desert in search of guns, or revenge or something. It's gonna be great.
One of the most talked about and anticipated games from last year's E3, The Division is for sure one of the top games to check out, and with any luck it will be playable at E3, as we haven't gotten to see too much more since last year's conference, which looked totally awesome. So there's definitely going to be tons more news and information throughout E3 on The Division.
The most post-apocalyptic of all post-apocalypses, Fallout 4 will be set in the post-war era as seen in previous Fallouts, years after nuclear bombs were dropped on the United States in 2077. You play one of the inhabitants of Vault 111, a previously unheard of vault, as you explore the bombed out shell of Boston. So excited! 2015 is the year of the badass women, from war machines like Mad Max's Imperator Furiosa to all the politically savvy and occasionally sword-savvy lasses of Game of Thrones. And of course, games are joining in, and it's clear that the message is, don't mess with us, mate. You don't have to look far this year to see kick-ass ladies in video games, with Tomb Raider's Lara Croft, Faith in Mirror's Edge, the female heroes in Fable Legends, our first main game female assassin Evie in Assassin's Creed, the ladies of Mad Max, the superheroes and supervillains of Batman, and presumably the choice to play as cool female characters in Mass Effect and Fallout 4.
Aisling might not be the biggest or toughest of Gigantic's playable heroes, but she definitely has the most difficult to pronounce name, and she's badass enough to wield the massive sword of her dead dad on the battlefield. In fact, the ghost of her dad is her guardian, a huge and powerful ally who you and your team need to protect, while also taking out the other team's guardian. Gigantic is shaping up to be a fantastic showcase for Windows 10 and Xbox One crossplay, and Aisling is the perfect daddy's girl to lead the charge.
Of course, the excellent Aisha Tyler, aka Lana from Archer, is going to host the Ubisoft conference at E3 again this year. I've never seen her in the flesh before. I'm gonna fangirl like mad, or maybe I'll just yell, Lana! I bet she's never heard that one. If you've ever held Lego in your hands, you'll know that there are few pleasures in life quite as satisfying as building. Putting a thing on top of another thing until the thing is taller than you is just as good as making an intricate creation using instructions. It's all about leaving something behind by which humankind can remember you for all time. Sounds a bit Ozymandian, doesn't it?
Alright, I know what you're thinking. Fable Legends isn't really a building game. It's a return to the wonderful world of Albion for some action RPG combat between heroes and villain that will have cross-platform multiplayer on Windows 10 and Xbox One. Well, my friends, you are right, but you are also wrong, because it's also a game, and I'll prove it because Kate told me I had to. When you play as a villain, you have total control over your minions, but also the ability to build traps, place defenses and gates, and set up intricate ambushes to knock the heroes off their stride. See? I told you.
Lego is totally in fashion right now. Lego games are being churned out more regularly than royal babies at this point, with Lego Jurassic World, Lego Dimensions, and Lego Avengers all out this year. Do we have our fingers crossed for all our favourite TV and film series being put into Lego Dimensions? Yes. Duh.
Holy moly, that is a ton of stuff.
Space.
Building.
And all the other stuff that yous weren't meant to talk about.
But it's got this thing, and it goes like this, and it sort of twists, and it's got like birds that sort of fly like that, and then there's a car, and it's like... Sorry.
Told you.
But guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe and also drop a thumbs up. It's always really appreciated.
And make sure to let us know in the comments what you're looking forward to most.
And we'll see you out there in LA for E3.
Bye!
See you later.